It's Wednesday the 29th of March, 1995. Since shortly after dawn, there has been an air of expectancy in the streets of Bethnal Green, East London. Street barriers being erected for crowd safety, specific areas being designated for television and radio crews, for press and the cameramen. Spectators begin arriving from all parts of the country, some from other parts of the world. EastEnders reminisce about what life was like in Bethnal Green over 30 years ago. Grandparents sharing with children and young people memories of a very different generation. As mid-morning comes, the crowds increase. Today, as the papers have predicted, there is to be a funeral befitting a president or a prime minister, and everyone present wants to be involved. There will be stories here to pass on to children and grandchildren. But who is this man who has become a legend in his own lifetime? In this epilogue of Ron Kray, you can share some of the crowd's excitement at being in the streets of Bethnal Green on that March morning. Ron Kray was born on the 24th of October 1933 and died on the 17th of March 1995. In a span of 60 years, the legend of Ron and his twin brother Reg spread across the world.
One time Ron went to Nigeria on a business trip, and the officials in Nigeria said to Ron, "Where would you like to go? Is there anywhere you'd like to go of interest in Nigeria?" So Ron said yes. He said, "I'd like to visit your prison, your local prison, because I'm interested in criminology." And they took him in an official capacity to visit this Nigerian jail. And he went on tour of the place. And yeah, at the time he had convictions, and Ron saw the humour side of this. And when he came out of jail, he had his photographs taken with the chief warder at the gate. And this was the funny side of Ron. He had a great sense of humour. Another time, he went to Tangiers, and there's a fellow there called Labi. He's a Moroccan, and at one time he was a political prisoner. And he'd been badly beaten up in the jail there for his political views, and he had become a tramp. And Ron learnt of this, and he felt very sorry for his new friend Labi. So he got in a suit, he got in a cap, he got in a shirt, and he got in all kinds of clothes, and he used to take them all around the centre of Tangiers with him. And he became his friend. And it was another side of Ron. It was a bit humorous really, a bit sad and humorous. But it showed Ron in another light. Another time, there was a bit of a problem. Big Pat Connolly had upset someone in Glasgow. In fact, it was Arthur Thompson, who was well known in Glasgow. And some of his friends were upset with Big Pat Connolly as well. And this could have caused a bit of a problem, it could have caused warfare. So Ron says, "Leave it to me," he says to me, "leave it to me." And he caught a plane to Glasgow, he went there on his own, and it could have been a dangerous situation. But he went there on his own, he caught a plane up there, and he was met by the Scotch firm in a taxi, and they was firm-handed. And they took him to the public house there, where this political situation of the underworld was discussed. And he went off okay, and then he went back to a local hotel there, and then he eventually flew back to London. Well, it could have been a dangerous situation, but Ron was not one to worry. He went there on his own. A similar thing happened years later just before 1968. He went to Brooklyn in the United States, and his wish was to see Crazy Joe Gaylor, who was mafia. And Crazy Joe had a reputation, a very bad reputation, of being homicidal. But Ron wasn't deterred. He went to the little cafe in Little Italy, where Armando the Dwarf stood outside. Armando was a relation to Punchy Iliano, and Armando used to watch out for everyone. He knew everyone who would walk in and out the cafe. He was the kind of watcher out, you know. And anyway, Ron went there with another fella, and they went in the cafe, and the mafia people got round Ron in a group, because they wasn't aware of what he looked like. They may have known of him from London, but they wasn't aware of what he looked like. And they said, "We've got to check you out." I said, Ron said, "Okay." He wasn't worried at all. Anyway, they checked him out, and Larry Gaylor at the time was in hospital dying from cancer, and Ron got him a big bouquet of fruit, and he said, "Would you give this to Larry?" Which they did. Crazy Joe wasn't available, and Algo Gaylor, I believe, came to see Ron. But it's another time which shows Ron was not worried in the face of adversity. And since then, or just afterwards, he became friends with his method people, and they respected each other.
On the 8th of May, 1968, Ron was arrested and placed in custody at Brixton Prison. 13 months later, he was on trial at the Old Bailey and was convicted of the murders of 2 London gangsters, George Cornell and Jack McVitie. Ron was given 2 life sentences, with a recommendation from the judge, Melford Stevenson, that he should serve a minimum of 30 years. He was sent to Durham Prison to begin the sentence. Later on, he was moved to Parkhurst on the Isle of Wight, where he remained for some years until he was certified insane. He was then sent to Broadmoor Mental Hospital, where he remained for 16 years. Ron Kray served a total of almost 28 years before he died of a heart attack at the age of 61, shortly after being admitted to Wexham Park Hospital in Slough on the 17th of March, 1995. During the 1950s and 60s, Ron Kray was the most feared and respected man in the East End of London. Many books, some true, others false, have been written about him, and he was featured in the book Born Fighter, a true account written by his brother Reg, published by Centurion Hutchinson. There have also been stage plays revolving around the life of Ron, and a record titled The Last of the Playboys, written and sung by Morrissey, all about the legend of Ron Kray. He was depicted in wax at Madame Tussauds Waxworks Museum in Baker Street, London, and in recent years his life story was immortalised in the film The Krays.
Ron was a great lover of dogs, and he had all kinds of dogs, Alsatians, Dalmatians, all kinds of dogs, and he used to treat them good, and he loved dogs, and he used to love going walking with dogs. Ron did many charitable acts which the public don't know about. In fact, just before he died, he would send money each week to a little boy that is seriously ill, and he did many things like this which no one knows about. Another memory I've got of Ron is we was in the Greengate Public House in Bethnal Green Road in the East End of London, and we were sitting on the bar stool. There was Ron and I, and We was drinking gin and tonics when 3 fellas came into the pub and they stood behind Will and they started making detrimental remarks against Will. And I watched him as he stepped down from the bar stool and he hit one with a right hand punch and knocked him spark out, and he turned the other way and hit one with a left hook, the other one, and knocked him spark out, and the third one ran out of the pub, and I just grabbed the 2 that was on the floor by the neck and I dragged them out of the pub and left them laying on the pavement. Ron could really punch with either hand and he was a good fighter. Charlie, my oldest brother, taught Bill and I boxing when we was kids, and he was a very good trainer. He's one of the best, and he taught us how to punch. Another memory I've got is when Ron and myself was in the Royal Dance Hall in Tottenham, and we were sitting in chairs close to the band. It was a big dance hall, very well lit and very colourful place, and they had good music. I remember the band at the time was Ray Ellington, who was one of the best of his day, and he was dressed in a pale blue tuxedo, and I believe Lee Rosa, the jazz singer, was there singing at the time. In fact, I'm pretty sure of this. And we were sitting there, Ron and myself, when we saw and observed the other side of the dance hall about 5 fellas who came from the Stamford Hill area, and they were coming across from the other side of the dance hall to have a row with me and Ron, because we was enemies. Ron and I waited for them to come across, and as I did so, right in front of the band, we hit them on the chin and also hit them on the heads with chairs. It was just like the cowboy days. We finished up, that we knocked them all out, and they lay in front of the band, and the band was still playing the music. And as I say, it was like a real cowboy fight, and I remember this night all these years later.
Outside the funeral directors in Bethnal Green Road, the scene was spectacular. Burly security guards and a phalanx of police officers kept the well-wishers from crushing in on the limousines containing the Kray family. Elder brother Charlie is speaking with family and friends as the crowds let out a roar and a deafening cheer to welcome the arrival of Reg, who has been let out of Maidstone prison with his escort guards to attend the funeral of his much-loved twin. A magnificent coffin containing the body of Ron Kray is placed in the flower-bedecked hearse, which is drawn by 6 jet-black horses with plumed headpieces. A black Daimler in the cortege was topped with a portrait of the twins. On its side, a message in letters formed from white chrysanthemums reads, "To the other half of me." "London's never seen the like," was heard from the crowd. "Nothing on this scale since Winston Churchill," and Ron would have been well pleased. All comments reported in the press, many under the heading, "Colonel's Funeral, Fit for a King." The long and dignified procession passed slowly down Bethnal Green Road, turning down Valence Road, past where the Kray boys had grown up and the spaces and streets where they had played. All along the route the crowds thronged to get a glimpse of a spectacle that they knew would form part of London's history. The excitement was infectious as tens of thousands cheered, some making the sign of the cross as their gesture of prayer for Ron Kray to rest in peace. A cortege arrives at St. Matthew's Church. The churchyard and surrounding streets already full to overflowing. People waving from the windows of adjacent flats, cheering as many climb on the walls to get a better view. Reg Kray is escorted into the church, placing a basket of lilies and a memorial card at the shrine of Our Lady of Walsingham, the same shrine where Mother Violet Kray had so often in the past brought flowers and prayed for her sons. Reg then greets those who are to take part in the funeral service, the children and young people who will carry the candles in front of Ron's coffin, the clergy and the organist. In the short interview that followed, Reg speaks of Ron.
Okay, I'm with Carlton Television, Phil Bale.
Very pleased to meet you.
Pleased to meet you.
I'm very pleased that you're here today.
We're going to be as discreet as we possibly can.
Thanks very much. I'm sure you will be. Thanks a lot.
How are you, Phil?
I'm fine, yes, I'm fine.
You saw your brother this morning?
Yes, he's fine.
How did you find him?
Well, thanks very much, anyway.
Right.
It's a nice place, nice church, eh?
What's going on? What's going on outside?
Well, they're all our friends and supporters, and they're all nice people. So I'm very pleased to see them today. But I mean, this should be done under different circumstances, but it's still nice to have their support, you know. And it's good to see them there, you know. And we're all friendly towards Ron. We've got a lot of respect from all over the country, and that's the main thing in life, I think.
Anything you'd like to say on his behalf? Anything you'd like to say on your brother's behalf?
Well, he's a good brother, and he's very loyal, and he's very generous. There are lots of nice ways about him, and I should always remember him with good memories, you know. And I know he's at peace. That's the main thing. And he's at peace. So his friend is at peace. So I'm pleased with that. You know.
I hope it goes well for you.
Well, thanks very much, anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
As the mourners enter the church, they come and greet Reg, offering him their condolences and affection, and bringing back many memories of very different days. To a recording of Frank Sinatra singing My Way, the pallbearers, led by Brother Charlie, carry Ron's body to the catafalque. The message, surrounded by flowers, simply reads, "Rest peacefully." By the coffin burns the Easter candle, the symbol and hope of the resurrection of the dead. After the opening prayers, which speak of the earthly ties of kinship, friendship and affection, the names of those who are unable to be present at the service are included, and then the congregation stand to sing the hymn, "Morning Has Broken." Sue Gibbon reads the messages and the poem Invictus by William Ernest Henley. The message from Charlie and Reg is especially poignant for the events of the day and culminates with Charlie, Reg, Freddie Foreman, Johnny Nash and Teddy Dennis representing North, South, East and West London, encircling Ron's coffin for a minute's silence as a symbol of peace. The message from Reg begins, "My brother Ron is now free and at peace." This theme is taken up in the scripture readings which speak of the glorious liberty of the children of God and our hope and trust in God. Prayers are now offered for the soul of Ron Kray and for all who mourn his passing, and the congregation stand once more to sing "Fight the Good Fight." Following the homily, in which the priest speaks again of freedom, hope and peace, the final commendation begins. Ron's coffin is sprinkled with holy water, the reminder of baptism, and greeted with incense, the rising smoke symbolizing the prayers being offered for Ron. The song of farewell during this ceremony expresses the Christian hope of heaven. Everyone stands in silent tribute as Sue McGibbon reads the poem, "Do not stand at my grave and weep."
I am not there, I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glints on snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am
the emotion and dignity of the service make this a hard thing to do, and many eyes are filled with tears as Whitney Houston begins to sing, "I Will Always Love You." Ron's coffin is now carried from the church, preceded by the floral portrait of the twins. Mourners reach out to touch the coffin in gestures of affectionate farewell as they file out in procession. Some stop by the shrine of Our Lady to light a candle for Ron, seeing there the lilies and the card which reads, "Mum, Dad, Francis, Ron, all my love, Reg." Outside the church, the crowd who have listened to the service through the loudspeakers cheer as Reg and the mourners make their way into the street lined with the limousines. Slowly the procession makes its way from the church, along Bethnal Green Road and the streets of East London to Chingford Mount Cemetery. The length of the procession and the volume of well-wishers bring the roads to a standstill. Yes, indeed, Ron must be well pleased. But then, even in his sorrow, so too must Reg, who had masterminded all the arrangements for today from behind his prison walls. A fitting and dignified tribute to his twin brother.
I am proud of the fact that I organised a church service and a funeral from within prison walls, and I wish to express my full sentiments on the memory of the church service and the funeral of my brother Ron. My memories are of the St Matthew's Church, in that to me it is the most beautiful church I have been in, and I have been in many. My other profound memory is of the choir of children that took part in the service. How innocent they looked, and also of the 3 young boys that ran either side of my car from Bethnal Green all the way to Chingford. On my left hand was a white boy of about 15 years of age, and he shouted out, "I will stay with you, Reg." And he gave the clenched fist sign and kept shouting out, "Stay strong." The little coloured boy with the angelic face on my right shouted out, "Bust out, Reggie, bust out, Reggie." And he said to the lady officer sitting next to me in the car, "Get those cuffs off." And one of the big security people gently held him at bay, and the little boy looked up at him like he was looking at a skyscraper and gave a scowl, and I gave the kid the thumbs up sign, and he said to the security man, I told you, Reg says I'm okay." And he shouted out, "You know my grandfather." After 2 seconds I called out to the little boy, "Yes, I know your grandfather." And his face beamed and he shouted, "I told you so, I told you so." When I eventually came away from the burial service and went to get back in the car, the little boy's head popped up on the other side of the car, and I kissed him on the forehead, and again his face lit up. I also would like to mention that I observed what a beautiful day it was in comparison with the previous day's rain, and on reflection afterwards, when rain came the following day, which makes me sure that someone above was giving the day his blessing. I also remember all the kids shouting out, "The Krays, the Krays." They also said, "We love Reggie," and the Kray twins, and then Reggie, free Reggie. I was concerned that the noise of the clapping and shouting would make the horses bolt. In fact, one of the escort expressed concern. So I waved my hands in the air like the conductor of a band, up and down in slow motion, asking the crowd of onlookers to cool it a little, which they did until the clapping started again. My main concern was that the horses would bolt with the hearse. The kids might otherwise wonder why I asked for quiet, unless I mention this. I remember too the chief of the uniformed police with his gold-braided cap coming into the funeral parlour to ask Charlie and I if everything was satisfactory, and he introduced us to his 2 public relations people, one of them a young female and the other a young male. I enjoyed seeing them flirting with the young girls who were waving to me, who were wearing short skirts which showed their nice figures, and how I would like to party with them when released. I blew them many kisses and they returned them. A memory which I find humorous, and I know Ron would be laughing at, is that once again he had a police cavalcade, a motorbike escort. Once many years back in 1963 he had the same when he went to Nigeria on business to a place called Enugu, and the Nigerians gave Ron an escort from the airport of a police cavalcade of motorbikes. I am sure that Ron would be laughing at the fact of his police escort during his funeral. I wish it were possible, personally, to thank all the people that were present. I also recall a sea of old faces and new faces that greeted me, and how dignified our security people looked and behaved. I also observed all the people waving from balconies and windows, and how people took off their hats and caps in a unity of respect, and how the faces of our coloured friends Mark and John lit up when I kissed them on the forehead at the end of the service, and the honesty and warmth that flowed from my friend Frank Fraser toward me as we walked close together, and the sincerity of our friends Freddie Foreman, John Nash and Teddy Dennis, who were all three pallbearers, and my brother Charlie. And the other pallbearers, Laurie O'Leary and Alex Steen, our two other friends. Another two memories which I will not forget were of a lady running alongside me on the left of the car, who asked one of our security men to pass through the window to me a golden heart which I now have in my possession, and of yet another lady who also ran on the left-hand side of the car and asked the security to pass through to me a bunch of daffodils. These I took back with me to Mason Prison, where they did rest in one of my vases. I got comfort from the presence of my brother Charlie all throughout, and finally, as previously said, there is no doubt in my mind that the day was blessed by God above.
Crowds of people are waiting at Chingford to welcome the cortege. The priest blesses the grave. Ron's mortal body is interred, earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, in the sure and certain hope of the resurrection of the dead, and his soul is commended to Almighty God, whose judgments are always true and just. After Charlie, Reg and the other mourners have left, many hundreds still remain at the cemetery. Some have come to stare, some have come to pray. Some have come to look at the inscriptions on the many scores of floral tributes which lay by the graveside. So many flowers from so many people.
Each day I say a prayer which was given to me by Friar Peter Mary Rookie. It is called the Miracle Prayer, and there's no doubt in my mind that it works. I wish to explain how many strange and good things have happened prior and after my brother Ron had passed away. A week before Ron died, I made a personal tape to him, but sad to say, he did not receive it before his death. Among other things, the tape spoke my words that Ron and myself should enjoy life now, because otherwise it could be too late, in that it was apparent we were going nowhere fast. I also said that the moment in time to enjoy ourselves was now. At this time we both had a strong premonition of death, and a friend, Irene, who is a strong psychic, told me that something was going to happen to Ron before the end of March. I had not seen Ron in 9 months, but was going to see him the second week in April. This was not to be. I spoke to Ron the night before he died, and he was of good cheer. Ron died on the morning of the 17th of March. His good omens and messages kept cropping up all the time. Just after seeing Ron at the funeral parlour, the word repose came to me out of the blue, and so I knew Ron was at peace. I decided to adhere to Ron's last wish of 6 black horses and a hearse. Strange, a letter came through the post that 6 black horses and a hearse were available, so Ron's wish was granted. I asked Mr. English, the undertaker, for the use of 28 Daimler cars, and these were available. I arranged for a private video in St. Matthew's Church to film the service. 2 days before the funeral, the video company let me down, but with continuity came about because London News TV offered to televise the service. I asked this be on screen across the nation, and strange to say, all this good was granted. I asked that the BBC play the service, and that it was to go across the country and also be played to the public outside the church, and this was done. I asked Father Christopher Bedford that a choir of children sing the hymns, and this was granted. Something told me to get service cars printed of the service, so I ordered 5,000 copies. The words of Invictus
Out of the night that
comes had light.
Black is the pit and cold to cold.
Some time back when I had sent them to him. The reason I chose these beautiful and profound words was that they should exonerate Ron of all blame, because for many years he had to bear the cross, as it was said by some that he had influenced me and controlled me, so I was intent that all should know different, and also that Ron should know that I thought otherwise, and that some of these words would tell Ron that I was still strong in the face of adversity.
I am the captain of my soul.
Someone sent me through the post the words, "Do not weep at my graveside," and I decided these two would be used in the service. These happenings singular may not seem strange and good, but think about them in their entirety, and I am sure you will reach the same conclusion as I, that they are not of normal coincidence. Father Bedford asked me to choose yet another hymn, and without an instant of hesitation it came to me the choice of Fight the Good Fight. Again, I thought this was not of normal phenomena. Frank Sinatra's song, which was sung as they brought Ron in the coffin to the church, seemed so appropriate. I did it my way, as were the words from Whitney Houston that was sung at the end of the service. I will always love you. Ron and myself used to play in the grounds of the church, St Matthew's, where we were regular when children. And all these years later, we returned, which seemed to be as a pilgrimage. Strange and good, too, that the four pallbearers of my choice were each known and respected from the north, south, east and west. And with me and my brother Charlie, they encircled the coffin in a symbol of peace. Strange again and good how the day before the funeral there was a blizzard and rain, yet on the day there was sunshine and a cool breeze. And the following day rain came again. Strange that in organising the church service and funeral all was granted as though I had helped in planning the occasion. Good again that the thousands of letters I received in condolence and tribute were all of unison in respect. Very strange that my request of a photo taken of Ron in the coffin was not put into practice. But days later someone sent a photo of Ron taken in the coffin by someone anonymous, was sent to a national newspaper, of which I now have the original copy. Hence, once again, my most important of all wishes had been granted. The picture of Ron and I on a wreath had been stolen from the graveside. This picture I had wanted in my possession. Days later it was returned via the undertakers. I will have the picture in my possession. The prison staff of Escort were considerate and kind, and we worked in complete harmony. How nice it was to see the East End again and to hear the shouts from the people of the Kray twins. We love Reggie, free Reggie. How good to be in such a pretty church and to hear and see the innocence of the choir children. How clear the bright blue sky, how distinct the scent from the leaves and flowers, the fragrance from the incense which was used as part of the burial service, along with the song of chant that went with it at the graveside, which I found to be so calming. How strange that the night before the funeral I lay on the floor where I usually sleep, and I had a warm blow around area of my spine, and I felt calm and serene. It was as though Ron was telling me all was well. Earlier in the night, a Salvation Army man visiting gave me 3 small cards. A blue one had the words on it, "Be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid nor be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." The Salvation man also gave me a small packet of lavender, and earlier in the day a friend said she had ordered me a wreath of lavender. Again, I saw this as a message from Ron, because many years ago my father, brothers and I used to go walking the streets buying old clothes as a way of living in the suburbs of London. And my father would always break off stems of lavender and give them to us. So I saw the packet of lavender as an omen of good, especially because part of my family were of gypsy origin. And all gypsies like lavender. The day that I got the original picture of Ron in the coffin, I locked myself in the privacy of my cell, and within seconds I once again had a very warm, glowing feeling in the area of my back, of such an extent that when I was unlocked from my cell, an hour later, I asked with my friends to feel my back and bear witness to the heat, and they were amazed. On reflection, I did recall that Siamese twins are joined by the spine. Is it not strange that such a momentous occasion and yet there was not one accident, injury or mishap on the day? I feel that my brother Ron has left a legacy of respect that has been shown to my brother Charlie and I, just as my mother did the same when she passed away in the year 1982. I believe that life and death for all is predestined, and that there is afterlife, even more so after I have witnessed the strange and good of the recent days. I hope many will find comfort from my recent experiences, and most important of all, I'm sure that God blessed my brother Ron's day. On the day I thought of those who could not be present but were with me in spirit. My friend Steph King, who had helped me so much, and others who could not be present: Brad, Paul, Bradley, Lee, young Charlie, Ron, Robert, Ken, and others, too many to mention. God bless. It's great.
Thursday, the 5th of October, 1995, was a quieter day at Chingford Mount Cemetery. The crowds had gone, and no publicity surrounded this ceremony. Brother Charlie and a few close family and friends gathered at Ron's grave for the blessing of the newly erected gravestone carved in letters of gold leaf. Again, the floral tributes arrive. One, surely the largest the cemetery has ever seen, reads, "Together in spirit, we walk as one." The gravestone was blessed. The children and young people from St Matthew's, Bethnal Green, who had sung at Ron's funeral, once again led the singing of "Morning Has Broken," a fitting epilogue for the man who has become the legend, Ron Kray.
There's many other sides to Ron that I could tell you about, but I think the thing outstanding most is he had a great sense of humour, and above all, he was a man.
Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not whinged nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. God bless. Affection, Reg.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please join our Facebook group. It's called Krays Crime Lords of London. We're a friendly, moderated group with over 1,000 Kray and other celebrated gangster videos available for view. There's also thousands of images in the photos sections. The link for the group is in the YouTube description section. I hope we see you there soon.